Today we're making a carnivore quiche with a beautifully golden crust and a rich, comforting filling. It's one of those dishes that feels just as good for a slow morning as it does for a simple, nourishing meal later in the day. Let's head into the kitchen and make this together. For the crust, we'll use 3/4 cup of unsalted softened butter, 1 large egg at room temperature, 1/2 cup of whole milk powder, 1/2 teaspoon of gelatin powder, 1/3 cup of egg white protein powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of unrefined sea salt. And for the filling, we'll be using 6 large room temperature eggs, 2 ounces of softened cream cheese, 1 cup of heavy cream, and 1 cup of shredded cheese. We'll be using Parmesan and mozzarella for this recipe, and 1.5 cups of chopped cooked meat. Here we'll be using ham. We'll start by preparing the gelatin. I like to store gelatin powder in an airtight glass container to help preserve its quality and freshness over time. We'll sprinkle the gelatin powder over cool water and let it bloom for about 2 minutes. Once it's bloomed, we'll add a tablespoon of hot water and stir until the mixture becomes clear and fully dissolved. This step helps give the crust extra structure and stability as it bakes. Gelatin also supports gut lining integrity and connective tissue health, which makes it a nourishing addition beyond just texture. Next, we'll cream the softened fat until it's smooth and well combined. You can use all butter here, or reduce the butter slightly and add a bit of tallow or lard if you'd like some extra structure and stability in the crust. Once that's smooth, we'll mix in the egg until everything is fully incorporated. Then we'll add the dry ingredients and gently mix until a soft dough comes together. At this point, we'll pour in the dissolved gelatin and mix until it's evenly distributed. The dough will feel sticky, but it should press easily into the pan without cracking or crumbling. Specifically for this recipe, using a deep dish metal pie pan really makes a difference. Metal conducts heat more efficiently than glass or ceramic, which helps the crust set quickly and bake evenly, especially along the sides. I've chosen a carbon steel pan here as it holds heat beautifully and gives the crust a clean, firm structure. This one also has a removable bottom, which makes it easier to release the quiche without damaging the crust. It's a simple choice that really improves both the baking and the final presentation. You'll notice I'm not using a ceramic pie pan here, as ceramic doesn't conduct heat as efficiently. That slower heat transfer can cause the crust to slump and bake unevenly, especially along the sides. Now it's time to shape the crust. We'll begin by greasing the pan, and here I'm using bacon grease that I keep stored in a dedicated container. Bacon grease works really well as it's heat stable, naturally flavorful, and helps prevent sticking without introducing unwanted additives. Be sure to grease the pan thoroughly, covering all the surfaces so that the crust releases cleanly after baking. If the dough feels a little too soft to handle, you can place it in the refrigerator for a few minutes to firm it up before working with it. This makes it much easier to press into the pan and helps the crust hold its shape during baking. I like to wear blue nitrile gloves for this step as they keep things clean and prevent the dough from sticking to my hands as I work. We'll start by pressing the dough evenly into the base of the pan, then working up the sides. As we go, we'll make sure the sides are noticeably thicker, about 25% thicker, to give the crust an extra strength. Then we'll place the filled pie dish in the refrigerator for 30 to 45 minutes or until the dough feels firm and cold throughout. Here we have our chilled quiche crust, firm and well set. We'll go ahead and preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. For the next step, we'll need a sheet of parchment paper, and I like to use an unbleached, chlorine-free option to reduce unnecessary chemical exposure. I'll include a link in the description below if you'd like to look into these as well. To stabilize the crust during baking, we're going to use pie weights. For this 10-inch pan, I'll be using about 2 pounds of ceramic pie weights. These weights are essential because they help hold the sides firmly in place while the fat melts and the crust sets, preventing it from slumping or collapsing inward. Ceramic weights also distribute the heat evenly, which helps the crust bake uniformly and keeps the base flat and well formed. Cut a piece of parchment paper long enough to cover the base and extend up the sides of the crust. Then fill the lined crust with pie weights all the way up to the top of the edge if you can. And press the parchment gently into the chilled dough so that it fully hugs the walls and corners. The goal here isn't just to weigh down the bottom, but to firmly support the sides so that they hold their shape as the crust begins to set in the oven. Once ready, we'll move into the 2-stage blind bake. In stage 1, we will bake for 10 minutes with the weights in place. When the crust has had time to set and hold its shape in the oven, we're ready to move on to the second stage of baking. For stage 2, we'll carefully remove the parchment and the weights, and if the sides look slightly slumped, we can gently press them back up with our finger or a spoon while the crust is still warm. We can also pour out any excess melted butter that's pooling on the crust. And we'll return the crust to the oven for 6 to 8 minutes until the surface looks set and matted. At this point, we're aiming for a partially cooked crust, not one that's deeply browned. In a large bowl, we'll crack the eggs and whisk until fully combined and smooth. I like to use pastured eggs whenever possible because they tend to be richer in nutrients and have a more robust flavor compared to conventionally raised eggs. They also come from hens that are raised in a way that's more aligned with their natural diet and environment, which I value when choosing ingredients. Next, we'll add the softened cream cheese if you're using it, and whisk until there are no lumps remaining. Then we'll pour in the heavy cream and add the salt, whisking gently until everything is incorporated. We want to avoid overmixing so that the custard stays tender and doesn't trap excess air. For this next step, we have 2 options. We can either place the finely chopped meat and cheese directly into the crust or mix them into the custard first. Here we'll be combining everything by adding the shredded cheese and the diced ham directly into the egg mixture before pouring them into the pan. As we pour the filling into the crust, we'll let it settle naturally into an even layer. A gentle tap on the counter helps release any air pockets and encourages the custard to spread evenly. If needed, we can use a spatula or the back of a spoon to lightly level the surface before baking. We'll place the quiche into a 350-degree oven and let it bake until the edges are set and the center still has a gentle jiggle. You're looking for movement in the middle, not liquid, since it will continue to firm up as it rests once it comes out of the oven. And here we have our finished quiche after resting for about 15 minutes out of the oven. It turned out beautifully, with a fully set center and a crust that's holding its shape nicely. You can see the detail in the crust and how natural it looks compared to a standard flour-based version. This resting time really helps everything settle, so each slice comes out clean and well-defined. As we cut into the quiche, you can see how nicely the custard holds together and how clean the slice comes out. The center is set but still tender, and the crust has just enough structure to support it. This is exactly the texture we're aiming for with this well-balanced carnivore quiche. You can really see the layers here, from the sturdy crust to the soft, savory filling. It's a simple, nourishing slice that feels both satisfying and grounding. If you enjoyed this recipe, let me know in the comments how you'd fill your quiche and if you plan to try it. And if you'd like more carnivore recipes like this, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.